Welcome to the Short Funk Podcast. I'm Tom Barbalet, and today, another one of the Australia recollections. We will get back to the regular Short Funk recordings shortly, but I was in Australia for a period of time and I feel like I need to do a brain dump. Today, I'd like to talk about how nothing prepares me for returning to Australia. There is an interesting phenomena in Noble Ape that was almost explicitly coded by Bob Mottram. That is, that actors within the simulation exist in the simulated entities' heads, for want of a better term, or their minds at least, and continue to play simulated roles through these entities' minds going forwards. When I think, here in San Jose, California, about returning to Australia, I have various simulated components that replay in my mind. They get me familiar to certain concepts, that get me used to the idea that I will be around people that are considerably more politically controlled, or at least politically defined, than what I find in the US, and also that the melees of Australian intellectual discourse is considerably less than I ever would want it to take place. It's not saying anything particularly positive associated with US intellectual discourse, but anyway, let's move on from this. Returning to Australia, however, and this in large part has affected the jet lag that typically prefaces my arrival and a good portion of my time in Australia, I realised that it's almost impossible to simulate these kind of things, particularly associated with places, times, and areas of simulated complexity, or let's just say areas of complexity, that are far beyond anything that I could humanly simulate. In fact, what strikes me, associated with returning to a place like Australia, and then returning back to the US, is that these areas of simulation are very much limited by my own mind, and also the frequency in which I travel to Australia. It is not that a large portion of my life is actually simulated and I use this as a means of dealing with certain circumstances, but there came a point through my trip to Australia where I realised that I should just let this thing happen. That this wasn't something that I was consciously controlling, this wasn't something that I could consciously intuit, that there would be a variety of factors that were completely and utterly beyond my control, and I should just let them happen, and learn from this experience. In large part, there is a degree of survival intelligence that one has through these circumstances. No, I wasn't being shot at, no large cats weren't coming to eat me, but you have a set of abilities in order to deal with circumstances, which enable you to survive and ultimately flourish. And using that part of my mind is not something that I do on a regular basis, but it is something that I have to return to quite frequently in my day-to-day life. And in travelling to Australia, almost all these experiences were through that. One might speculate, and I do speculate this through developing Noble Ape, that this kind of cognitive effort actually takes more energy than allowing for a simulated set of events to either confirm or disprove various simulated hypotheses. Truth be told, through my time in Australia, I'm usually absorbing so much new sense information that, whether or not it costs me more in energy, it usually builds up in terms of experience, which enables me to do things like record these Short Funk podcasts upon my return. Anyway, a little bit associated with simulated cognitive state and various degrees of analysis, Tom Barbalet in San Jose, signing out.